Thing is, we see pictures of Victor with shredded abs, shredded everything, shredded legs, veins everywhere. He was within probably 2 to 3 weeks of competing. Boom! Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and click on the link in the description box below to sign up for the Tiger Fitness newsletter. Within a week of publishing this video, we will give out a $50 gift card to tigerfitness.com to one lucky person who does all of these steps. Boom! What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, tigerfitness.com CEO, MTS Nutrition. There is one man I remember growing up that never even competed on a bodybuilding stage, yet was dominating muscle magazines and guest posings for a better part of the 90s. Someone who got on stage next to Dorian Yates and arguably beat him as a mass monster, pound for pound. Some of y'all youngins might not know who I'm talking about. Some of y'all youngins under 30 years old might not even know this man existed. But this man didn't just exist. He did wonders for the sport. He brought a new age of mass. In that day, it was Dorian and Victor Richards. Vic Richards, he's known as the mass monster. A man who did guest posings, invited by Kevin Levrone to guest pose at his show after Levrone placed second in the Olympia. Someone who was banned from the sport of bodybuilding. And I'll get into that a bit later. Now, you guys are looking at the pictures of this gentleman, Vic Richards. Now, remember, I worked at Weider in the late 90s and early 2000s. That was a bit after the Vic Richards era. But I know a lot of the people he's going to talk about, including Wayne DeMilia, who I think is a dumb pile of shit. So, without further ado, let's get into why this crazy guy never competed. So, here's the deal. Reading an article from RX Muscle. He started lifting weights because he had an experience with bodybuilding unlike many other people who train. He took it beyond the physical and mental to a spiritual experience. And jumping on stage didn't feel spiritual at all. That's what he looked at. It was much more than just competing and making money. For him, it was about training and achieving goals. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, and I think a lot of people get to later in their careers, unless, of course, you're Phil Heath. Then you just go for Sandow number 15. I also knew that if I was competing and taking endorsements, that his voice would try to be silenced. A lot of people don't realize Vic was an advocate for athletes. Despite not competing, he advocated for athletes. He also thought that to let a panel of judges determine his worth when he wasn't doing this for anyone other than himself seemed crazy. So here's what happened. I remember this story from when I was at Weider. Wayne DeMilia, then IFBB president, who in my dealings with him was a complete ass clown buffoon, and one of the reasons I think we're seeing a downturn in bodybuilding, I don't think Mannion's doing a much better job. In fact, I think it's kind of like being the president of the United States. You replace one with someone dumber and dumber and dumber till we end up having Dumb and Dumber in office. And I think that's pretty much where bodybuilding is going. Bodybuilding has made a lot of wrong moves, and we've gone over that in the past. It's a shame because it's a sport. It's an event that I love, that I'm a part of, that I'm a professional in. So here's the deal. He guest posed, and he was told that if he guest posed for all organizations in the IFBB, he'd lose his pro card. That's why most of his guest posing and appearances took place in Europe, and he was never at contests in the United States. So here's what happened once. He was at Mr. Olympia with Mr. Olympia, Dorian Yates, at FIBO in Germany, and John Brown, who was Mr. Universe, stood up on stage and posed down against Dorian Yates. Some think that he won. Now, Vic says he wasn't on GH or insulin, which is why he was able to maintain such a svelte waist, while the other pro bodybuilders at the time weren't able to. Again, that's besides the point. But if he was able to obtain that physique without the use of anything but steroids, God, that's insane. That's insane. So, I mean, the bottom line is what he did is, other than, Vince McMahon with the WBF, there was no athlete contracts at the time, really. So what Victor helped do is that after the WBF, I think he was an instrumental part of advocating for athletes' rights. And the bottom line is, this man didn't step on stage because he didn't want to, because he didn't feel like he needed that to justify what he was doing, because he saw that he could be worth more off the stage than on the stage. And to that, I applaud Victor. I applaud him. Now here's the deal with Vic Richards. While he doesn't have the accolades, a lot of you might not remember him. Do you guys remember who finished number 3 in the 1992 Mr. Olympia? No. All you look at is pictures. And right now, bodybuilding placings are less relevant than ever. Less relevant than ever because the sport is really less relevant than ever. With the advent of social media and Insta-hoes and Insta-bros being able to post pictures and get more followers than people who win professional bodybuilding contests, we are seeing a change to where Vic Richards was around now. Vic Richards would be the largest thing in the fitness industry. Besides his outspoken personality and his larger-than-life muscle bellies and his svelte waist, I don't think anybody here, even though we never saw, because again, he looked at things as an overall health and altruistic point of view, like he looked at things as he looked at the big picture. Vic did not want to do the diuretics and everything involved in getting on stage. Let's assume Vic Richards decided at that time to go for it. I will go out on a limb here and say, usually if people ask me if someone would win at a show, I'll be like, well, you never know till they're in shape. Thing is, we see pictures of Victor with shredded abs, shredded everything, shredded legs, veins everywhere. He was within probably 2 to 3 weeks of competing. If Vic Richards would have wanted to, Vic would have been Mr. Olympia instead of Dorian Yates. I can go out on a limb and say that. What do you think? Look at the pictures. Let me know your thoughts. But I think a lot of us need to not forget that Vic Richards and Dorian Yates were the original mass monsters. The difference is Dorian took it to stage and Vic Richards took it to pictures. And he was alienated because he did not get on stage and the IFBB/NPC did not want that competition. So what do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think Vic Richards is the uncrowned Mr. Olympia of the 90s? Let me know. That's not a game.